a vlog about minimalism, really. A minimalist lifestyle. And I am a minimalist. Which, to be fair, I could do with a bit of downsizing at the moment, but to live in a car with everything that you own in a car, you're a minimalist, aren't you? Well, you can't not be, because you can't have the clutter. But it also goes down to like van life. People now are selling houses to live in a van. The house can't move, so you either got to go to work and then keep wasting petrol, going back to your house and wasting petrol in the morning, going back to work. All people, and people now, there's a lot of people now that have got a house bought and paid for. They've really got no real need to go to work, but they keep going to work. And when they get to 65 or whatever, yeah, they might buy a motorhome worth 40, 50, 60 grand and then travel the country or travel Europe or whatever, yeah. That's great if you get to 65. What happens if you've got ill health and you can't get to 65? Then you've got a house bought and paid for, and you was going to travel Europe, you was going to travel around the country and the UK, whatever, yeah, or around the States, wherever you are. But you don't get to 65. What's the point of going to work for 40, 50, 60 hours a week for 45 years and have this dream of living the high life when you're 65 if you don't get there? And a lot of people now have got in their house, they've paid into the mortgage for that many years, they've got a bit of equity in their house. And now, you can see this if you watch narrowboat channels in the UK. Narrowboats are selling like hotcakes because people are downsizing from a house to a narrowboat. They're downsizing from a house to a flat. Taking a bit of equity from the house and buying a camper van. And living a simplistic, minimalistic lifestyle. And when you, because you've got certain stuff. Before, it was like, you must go to school, you must get a good education, you must get qualifications, you must get a degree, you've got to get a degree, you've got to get a degree, and then you've got to put yourself so far in debt, and then you've got to earn a fortune so you can get yourself out of debt, then you've got to buy a house, you've got to have a house, haven't you? You've got to have a house. And then what? You've got a house. Then you've got your house bought and paid for, if that's your case, right? And you've got a nice car on the drive and all that, yeah? Decent job, decent salary, right? What then? You're going to keep accruing cash that you don't need because you've got a house bought and paid for. Then you've got to buy another house, probably rent it out, or buy a bigger car, or bigger house. And then fill it with clutter. You've probably got a garage full of clutter. You've probably got a spare room full of clutter. And you'll see a lot of people, single people, living in big, large attached houses. Why? All it is based on an assumption that the house is going to increase in value, which it will. But it costs time and money to maintain a house. And there's people who can never afford a house who will go to work forever and a day just to pay rent every week to a landlord, every month to a landlord. Why? Because you're only ever, all you've got to do is look at these room rental sites, yeah? When they're renting a room, right? And you see what you get for 600 quid a month. It's the most basic accommodation. You probably won't get a lot of the facilities you get. And if you can live in a room, you can live in a Sprinter has got 4 metres. It's 4 metres. The living was 6 metre van, but the accommodation space is 4 metres. And if you take out the bulkhead between the driver's seats and the back of a Sprinter van, some may take out, like your parcel vans, you'll see that the passenger seat has been taken out, which gives you 5 metres internal space. Right? And when you can spin the front seats round in the camper van, which you can do in a Sprinter and a VW Crafter, you can spin the seats round, so you're actually in the 5th metre of the van. Most rooms haven't got 5 metres. And now you only. But the thing is, there's that many people paying £600 a month, 600 quid, whatever it is, whatever you pay a month rent for a room to live in a shared house with 4 or 5 other people, all paying £600 a month to a landlord. Landlord's getting £3 a month for that house. Right? Tenant's getting virtually next to nothing. Tenant can never own that room. They will never own. I speak to you because I'm not a person will never own that room, and you have to pay £600 forever to rent. But the problem is that landlords wrongly assume that because a person cannot afford to buy a house or a flat, they have nowhere else to go but to rent a room. And for a long while that's been the case. But it isn't anymore. Because tenants have realised that if they buy a van, they own their living space. And when they own their living space, they don't have to pay rent. And that's the problem where you've got van life at the moment. They're trying to bring a law in, or may have just brought a law in, that prohibits people parking on, sleeping in vans and all that. Because a lot of people, public sector, civil service, they're landlords. You can't earn a big salaries before at some point you get your house bought and paid for and you've got to find somewhere else to put your money. Easy buy another house. Tenants have found a way of not owning a house and not having to pay rent because they can buy a car and live in a car, or buy a van and live in a van. And to do that, you have to be a minimalist. E.g., you have to declutter. And if you think about renting rooms, most people that rent rooms, everything they own is in a room, a bedroom. That's it, the whole lot, one room. So it makes it easier when you're in that situation. If everything you own is in a room, if you declutter from the room 2 or 3 times to just 3 plastic tubs that you see in these cheap pound shops over there, you see the big plastic containers, you can put your clothes in one, your food in another, and everything else in the third. And it's like if you sit that on your bed, three tubs, and put everything you own into 3 tubs, you can live in a van. And if you buy the van, you can own your own accommodation, which means you never have to pay rent again. And that is going to cause a recession because landlords have got multiple houses that they need tenants to pay for those houses so they can pay, and then accumulate with more houses. But as more tenants leave for van life, and more tenants that have left for van life making YouTube videos showing how easy it is to live in a van, more people will live in a van. And when you've got a person in the States that's got 500,000 subscribers showing people how to live in cars and live in vans, and on a basis that probably only 25% of YouTube channels, only 25% of the subscribers account for 25% of the audience, which means that's probably 2 million people watching videos every week of how to live in a car or a van, which means more people live in a car or a van. And that's why you are. That's why more people are living a minimalist lifestyle. Because they can. And then you've got a house, a flat, a rented room, a van, a car, and wild camping. That's it. Minimalism is here. It isn't going away. And neither is van life. And car life is becoming more popular than van life. People living in cars. And I used to live in a car. And I really enjoyed it. It's a great lifestyle. Adios.